So ladies and gentlemen, today I will show you the exact step-by-step process that allowed us at Multiscale to generate exceptional results for our clients. I'm talking of millions of dollars in revenue generated through a simple AI-powered cold outreach machine. And I'm not just giving you theoretical fluff, I will give you the exact step-by-step practical blueprint of how to build this system yourself to create a sustainable process that will generate you appointments and clients on autopilot. So stick to the very end of this video because this might be the most transformative video you'll watch in all 2025 when it comes to how you acquire clients as a company. Now bear in mind the numbers I'll show you in just a second in terms of results we've generated for our clients are all based on and backed up with years of experience in copywriting, sales, marketing, and AI. But I can guarantee you one thing: if you follow all the instructions I outlined in this video and if you build the system exactly like we did, you will never have to worry about where the next client comes from ever again. But if you don't want to do it yourself and you want me and my team to build it out for you, then just click the link in the video description down below and schedule a call with me or one of my team members, and then we can see how we can help you best. And with no further ado, I'd say let's get straight into it. Alright, so you can now see my screen. In just a second I will show you exactly how to set this entire system up yourself. But let me just quickly show you this beautiful case study because it's going to showcase what is actually possible with this entire email system when set up correctly and if you have a good understanding of your ICP. So let's get straight into it. So first off, bear in mind, all these results have been generated within the first 30 days of working with this client, which is absolutely insane. We signed out 1,200 cold emails. We had a response rate of 21%, 250 responses, 7% appointment booking rate, 83 qualified appointments, 815% increase in revenue in the first month of working together, which is absolutely crazy. If you compare the new revenue after we got the entire system for the client up and running to the old revenue before they worked with us, it has been 9.15 times the baseline, meaning if you're doing 10K, you're now doing 91.5K per month in revenue. That's absolutely crazy. Now, as I said, it's an absolutely beautiful case study and just showcases the power of that system if you just set it up correctly and if you have a good understanding of your target audience and who you're actually selling to. Now, for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Noah Tesla. That's my face right there. And that's my company because I'm the CEO and founder of Multiscale, a Munich-based AI automation agency. And we are helping businesses of all sizes all over the world, whether that's a one-person company all the way to global enterprises, automate certain processes, operations, tasks, whatever, with AI automations and agents. And whether that's client acquisition, service delivery, customer support, or whatever, we always have two primary goals, which is either to save time and money or to make a lot of money. And we usually achieve both goals, which is great. Now, if you want to work with us, whether that's for building you this entire email system that I'll talk about today, or if you want us to build any other automations or AI agents for you, either you can visit us at multiscale.com. On there, you can just schedule a call with me or one of my team members, or you just go to the video description and then you can click on my Calendly link. And on there, you just have access to my calendar and then you can just schedule a call through that. And then we just have a quick Zoom meeting where we just discuss, okay, how can we best help you make your current operations more efficient? And then we'll see how we can help. So yeah, really excited to get to know you. If you're interested in that, just quickly schedule a call through the link below. And then I'd say let's get straight into the actual topic of today's video. Today's video is first of what exactly you'll need to build this system in terms of tech stack and knowledge, how the system works on a high level overview, and then I'll give you a step-by-step guide on how to build this yourself and execute on what I'm going to give you today. Now, first off, tech stack, you first off need a software for lead sourcing. Whether that's Apollo or something else, we like to use Apollo, but I also know a lot of people that don't like Apollo and prefer to use something else. So we also had clients that said, okay, we don't want to use Apollo, and then we just use something else. Totally fine, but we actually prefer Apollo. And also it's just kind of easy with the Apollo scraper, etc. It's just the simplest process right now. Now for email verification, we use usebouncer.com, Instantly.ai for the management of mailboxes, campaigns, etc. Getmaildozo.com for buying mailboxes. And then we use a Make Automation plus Derek app for the lead enrichment process, which I'll show you in just a second. And in terms of knowledge, the only thing you need is that you need to know your ICP better than they know themselves. And if you have that level of understanding for your target audience, you can easily achieve these results I've just showed you. So yeah, that's basically it of what we'll need to build this entire system. Now, let's start with it. So first off, something that if you're an existing business owner, you hopefully already did. If you're a new business owner, you have to do it. which is defining your exact ICP, your ideal client profile, the one you're selling to. Now, we first off started with market research. We'll first off identify their exact pain points, problems, and desires and solutions. So what is the difference between these four? Pain point is, for example, my leg hurts. The problem is my leg is broken. The desire is that I don't want my leg to hurt anymore. And the solution is to go to the hospital so they can help me fix my leg, something like that. Then competitive gap analysis is just comparing yourself to how other businesses in your industry position themselves, just so you get some inspiration of how you can market your offer, etc. The next thing we have to do is define your specific ideal client profile, aka your ICP avatar, which starts with firmographics, just measurable stuff like industry, for example, HR, automotive, marketing, whatever. Then company size, for example, 11 to 50 employees, geographical location, US, UK, stuff like that. And then where it gets really interesting is the psychographics, which is basically the founder mindset, which is basically the psychological profile of your ideal client, what they care about, their fears, and how they make decisions. If you know how they think, you can think like them and you can write in their style and basically make them wonder, like, how does he know so much about me, even though you don't know them in person? And that is kind of the most effective thing you can do in marketing, that you understand your ICP so well that they feel like, okay, you've already had a really in-depth deep talk with them, even though you've never spoken to them. And then the next thing we want to figure out are certain trigger events. So these are just specific moments that make your ideal client need your service urgently. I, for example, recently had a conversation with the founder of a HR consulting firm. And one of the trigger events for their customers, because they're also taking care of like HR compliance, one of the trigger events is, for example, when one of their clients or a company gets sued by an employee or faces a lawsuit because of that or something like that, and they are now afraid of it or basically need help with that. That's kind of the trigger event when they urgently need the service of that HR consulting firm. And you can just think about whatever that is for your specific situation. Now, next thing and the last thing we have to define is the offer, just the offer design. So first off, really important, just offering pricing. What will you charge for that? Is it monthly? Is it upfront? Is it one time? Is it split payment? Whatever. And then the second thing here, B, is basically just the irresistible packaging, which is super important, which is basically a mix out of guarantee plus social proof. So guarantee, just for example, stuff like you'll achieve XYZ result or you get your money back, stuff like that. Just making sure that the value equation makes sense, meaning that the perceived value and basically the likelihood of a success is a lot higher than the effort that they have to put in and also the risk that they have when they're moving forward with you. And then social proof is pretty obvious, just like testimonials, etc. And that just makes it easier for the client to build trust in you and your services. Now, that's basically the foundation for the entire system. If you don't have that figured out, do it right now, because without it, you cannot really build the email system and actually generate results with it. Of course, you can do the technical side of it, but like at latest, when it comes to writing your email copies, you will not really get far if you don't have all these details in place. Now, the next thing is now the more technical side of things, which is building the cold email system. And that all starts again with a little questionnaire where you are trying to understand your ICP even better. And that is the key insight questionnaire, which is basically the foundation for persuasive email copy. And that is based on 8 questions. You can read those in details right here. You can just stop the video. I'll just go through them really quick. So what is your most valuable service or offering? Who are your ideal clients and what makes them great? What are the biggest frustrations your customers face before working with you? Very important. How does your service solve these frustrations? Even more important. Why do customers choose you over your competitors? What common objections do potential customers have before buying? That is super important, that because if you know that, you can already address them in the email itself, in the copy, whatever you're running it for. That's just in general, like in marketing. If you already know what objections might come up on, for example, sales call, just address them on the marketing copy directly, because if you address them before that, they obviously will not occur on the sales call itself anymore, stuff like that. And then who are your biggest competitors and how do they position themselves? And what's one thing competitors do better than you? Those are the 8 questions. If you can answer them in detail, each and single one of them, then you have a really good foundation for running effective email copy and actually having copy that converts really well. Now we go into the really technical side of things, which is first of all lead sourcing and enrichment. So lead sourcing, finding and scraping qualified leads. As I said, we're currently using Apollo, but also works with other systems. And enrichment, so gathering more data for hyper personalization and similar. And that's what I've already talked about with the make automation and direct app. But I'll just quickly show you how that entire system works. So First off, you go to Apollo, and that's where the firmographics, etc., of your ideal client profile that we've already defined come into play. You just put them inside here, so you get a list of your ideal client profile. You don't even need the paid version for that. You can just do it with the free version. And then you see up here, it will give you that URL. Just copy that, and then you go to Appify. You search for Apollo Scraper. Then you just use this one, and in there you can just insert that URL you just copied on the Apollo website, and that will spit out a Google sheet with all the leads that you've just scraped through Apollo. That will look like something like this. Of course, here the icebreaker, and by the way, it's all in German, as you can see, but this summary of LinkedIn, etc., and also the icebreaker, that will not be included in that first step when you do it via the Apollo scraper, but that's going to be in the next steps. But that's basically all the information you're scraping through Apollo. Then the next step is just to take that lead list and basically insert it into Derek app, this one, because then it will add these purple columns to it. It's basically just going through all of their LinkedIn profiles and extracting all the information about them, like their name, summary, what companies they've worked at, what companies they're currently running, and stuff like that. Just stuff you can use in the personalization of your message, which is super effective. Derek app can easily do that for you. And then with all that information, you go back into that entire process, and then it all gets sent to the next step inside the process, which is a really simple make automation. Nothing too crazy, not too many modules in between, just a really simple automation that does the job. Now, first off, what that does is basically it just captures all the details from the Google Sheets. In there, we will just outline, okay, what columns does this automation need to have in order to create the perfect personalized icebreaker. So in here, we can just, for example, define, we want this column, and whatever, so on. We just define like what does the AI need to generate that icebreaker. Now, next thing is that GPT module, which is also quite simple. We have 7 steps in here, 7 messages. I won't go too much into detail what they actually contain, but I will just quickly explain what they are about. So the first one is just a normal system prompt. The second one is what we want ChatGPT to give us. So basically, it's just the output that we are expecting. Also, the output format that we want. In our case, we want a JSON format with the output. Then the third message, we're giving ChatGPT an example of the input. So basically what information it receives, that's basically our user role. And then in message number 4, we are giving ChatGPT an example output, basically what we want ChatGPT to give us based on the input that it receives. And that's basically the assistant role, as you can see right here. Now in message 5 and 6, it's just basically the same thing repeated. And message 7 is basically this. So what this is about, so this basically, again, is what information we want ChatGPT to use inside the personalized message. And that is basically full name. So their full name, their company name, their title, for example, CEO, founder, whatever, the headline, summary of the LinkedIn profile, for example, company location, person location, because this helps us create these hyper personalized messages. Because if we're, for example, now reaching out to a company, let's say here in Munich, Germany, we've already worked with a company in Munich, Germany. Now the system knows, okay, they are located in Munich. We've already worked with the client in Munich, meaning we can now name that client to the other company in Munich, and that immediately builds more trust, etc. Stuff like that. And that's where this message 7 helps us with, because we allow ChatGPT to use this data to actually personalize their message based on it. That's basically this whole GPT module, as you can see, quite simple. Then JSON module here is just to turn this output from that GPT model into words, because as I already said, the output here is JSON format, and then we just want to put it into words. And then basically this step just means that this icebreaker that has been generated by ChatGPT will then be updated into one of the rows. And that's basically what you can see here. So the icebreaker will be added to these rows. Now, the next step for us is to clean the lead lists, meaning deleting duplicates, verifying emails, etc. How we do that is by using usebouncer.com. That's basically where you just insert your lead list, and then we'll do it for you. And then we'll spit out scores and status, stuff like that. If it's risky, you don't want to send out emails to that, because that would hurt the reputation of your sender domain, and just stuff like these scores, etc. That's what it basically spits out. And you're just trying to make sure that you're actually only reaching out to people that are actually active with that specific email address you have from them through Apollo or something like that. And yeah, that's basically the most technical part of the entire process. Now it comes to the setup. So first off, setting up your email domains, or basically buying those inboxes through getmaildozer.com, as already said, and then managing those inboxes and setting them up with Instantly.ai. So getmaildozer.com, pricing is quite good. So it's only $100 per month for 32 mailboxes, 8 domains, and 3 master inboxes. And then of course they have their other pricing packages, but for most this will probably be enough at first. Now, the good thing about it is that it's easy to integrate into CRMs like Close and also just cold email softwares like Instantly, Limitless, etc. And I think I don't have to go more into that how Instantly works, because I think most people already know it. And there are a lot of tutorials online that actually explain how to set it up. So that's a topic for another day. And then one of the most important parts, of course, the whole technical process is super important. But if you don't have good email copies, you can send as much emails as you want. You can have the best personalization ever. If you don't have a good email copy, it will not work. Therefore, and that is where this entire work comes in that we've already done in terms of defining your ICP, etc., because that will allow you to actually address their pain points, problems, desires, and solutions inside that copy and make them kind of think, oh my God, how does he know all this stuff about me without knowing me? Because now you have hyper personalization through that entire process we've already discussed. Plus now you're showing them, okay, you understand your target audience, you know what their problems are. And like in their mind, the possibility of you actually having the solution to their problems, if you know exactly what problems they're facing, is just super high, meaning the likelihood of them actually converting is 10x or something like that, if you show them that you have a good understanding of your target audience. So that's where the market research comes into play when we're crafting these high converting email copies. Then the next step, once you've set everything up and you start testing these campaigns, is basically just responding to positive replies. And depending on the C2A, that could be, for example, that you have to call these leads or that you respond to them via text. And that could be manually or automated. Manually would basically just be calling them yourselves, or writing and sending out the emails yourselves through email responses. And automated would be, for example, having an AI voice agent calling them for you, or just having the AI create these email responses for you and then send it out for you. That's basically the automated approach. And then last but not least, very important, now you have to test, analyze, and adjust. So first of all, test all these copies with a couple of hundred leads each. Analyze what's working and what's not working to the level it should be. And that's super important because we already had clients that have been running email campaigns for months, have never really generated any good results, but just never really figured out what the problem was because they have never analyzed their campaigns. And after months of working with them, we already knew like what's not working, and we again ramped up their conversion rate 5% from like, I think before it was like 0 point something percent. So analyzing is super important, and then eventually just adjusting your approach based on data, not just on, yeah, I guess that should work better. Have the data in place, and based on the data, you can then find the winning copy and golden copies that actually generate results. And from there, you can just see like what works best. The thing is here, like, you probably all know the saying of never change your running system. If you have a proven copy that, for example, has a 6 to 7% conversion rate, do not change anything about it. Or if it's, for example, at 4 or 5%, you can still do like a little tweak here and there, but document exactly what you're changing about that system, about that structure, about the process. Because I've already heard it from people where they change a little thing about a process, and a week later they couldn't remember what they changed, but all of a sudden the conversion rate went from 4% all the way down to 0.5 or 1% or something like that. But they cannot reverse engineer it because they have not documented their exact changes to that certain process. So if you change something about a working system, always make sure that you know what you've changed. And that's the entire technical process of setting this entire system up. Now, here are again just some average results we're seeing with this system, which is, first of all, an average appointment booking rate of 3 to 7%. As I already said, like 7% is really good, and we've achieved this a lot of time. 3% is kind of the lower end of where we're saying, okay, now we are using a process that works quite well, but we still need to change something about it to actually achieve like high conversion rates. But in the end, that means that 3 to 7 qualified prospects out of 100 leads book an appointment with you, which is pretty good. Now, here are just some case studies that represent the efficiency of that system again. So Sasha, whom we scaled from 7K to over 64K per month in just 30 days. And Stefan from MP4Y, whom we scaled from 5 figures in annual revenue to almost 7 figures over the course of a few months. just represents again how efficient this system actually is. And as I said, now with this video, with this resource here, you can definitely implement it yourself. You can definitely build it yourself. But if you want me and my team to build this entire system for you, done for you, without you having to do anything, then visit us at multiscalex.com or just click the link in the video description, my calendar link, and schedule a quick strategy session with us. And then we can discuss how we can best help you with that entire system or other operations inside your business. If you want to automate or make more efficient with AI, we are the right company for that. So just schedule a call with me. And I'm really excited to learn more about you and your company. And I'd say thank you so much for watching till the end. I'll catch you guys in the next one.